the year is here, and we've still got time to squeeze in one more look at the month ahead, and that is of course the month of January 2020. Looks like we're talking about a new year. We are talking about a new year, but don't forget we'll be back in a month's time with the first show of the new year to talk about the year ahead and to get ourselves a much better, bigger picture of what really to expect with how things are going in the world, because quite frankly they don't look like they've been going so well. Over the last year, the planets Saturn and Pluto have been dancing together, and in fact on and off for a couple of years they've been getting into all sorts of trouble and getting us into all sorts of trouble. These are planets associated with power, with violence, with extreme top-down kind of action, authoritarianism, powers that be, all of these kind of things which we are seeing rising in our world as much as we give lip service to being a democratic world. All these effects of Saturn and Pluto are expected to culminate in January, perhaps start fading a little bit after that, but the truth is we've still got some time to deal with all the implications. And you can see a lot of those implications arising around the world, just at a glance, from the physical power struggle, Eskom in South Africa, the inability of powers that be to act in South Africa, the presidency or the government doing very little about any of the problems that are going on in the world, whether they feel paralyzed or whether they're just completely inept and unable to act, doesn't really make much of a difference. When we look at the problem is that we have this paralysis and control from the top down. You can see the same thing in the United States of America, where the impeachment drama played itself out, created even more polarity and antagonism in the country, and has produced results the likes of which we might not even yet have seen it all. And look at the UK, where the Brexit crisis brought them to the election that's given them an enormous mandate for Brexit that, as the past history of the last couple of years has shown, is going to create more division, more violence, more antagonism, and more danger for everyone in the country. Think about danger for everyone in the country, where literally, certainly in the United States and the United Kingdom, it's become a little bit more dangerous to be a random person walking in the streets, where kind of almost anything could happen. These are these extremes that are going on. Look at other kinds that are happening. Greater oppression in India, with non-Hindu minorities beginning to get increasingly oppressed by a religious nationalist government. Look at Australia, where the devastating, tragic fires have swept the land, destroyed so much of Western Australia and even further east, and where governmental paralysis and self-interest and conservatism continues to derail a lot of the possibility of fixing anything. So here we all stand in a world where we feel powerless. Even in South Africa, we feel we've got all these democratic options, we've got a government that supposedly does want to act in somebody's interest. They just don't do it. They don't act in anyone's interest at all, or just in their own. So we feel paralyzed and powerless. Look how Eskom makes us feel so angry and powerless, not only literally as in there's no electricity, but powerless as in we are at the mercy of these inept bureaucracies that act in their own interest and continue to act in their own interest. So where does that leave us? What is the lesson of this Saturn and Pluto dance that we've all had to face and continue to face into the new year? Well, remember, Pluto is about power and Saturn is about restriction and limitation, and all the citizens of the countries I've described, and presumably many, many, many others, are feeling these oppressive forces of restriction and limitation. Well, this is that time of the year where all the cliches and the supposedly religious principles tell us to act with peace and with love towards each other. And it's a little bit like, why should we only be doing that in December? And what does that really have to do with anyone's religion? It's really a reminder for us right now that simply comes at the best possible time. Never mind that it's December and that message is piping out of every mall all the time. This is real. This is what you can do. How do we as individuals respond to Saturn and Pluto, the power crisis? Because there's not much you can do about the government, and there's not much you can do about their Brexits and their impeachments and their machinations to steal the money, or their failure to do things which might have helped prevent such things as fires in Australia. We feel powerless because they act for themselves. What can we do for ourselves? The way for us to own the Saturn-Pluto lesson is to learn the lesson of love, peace, and harmony as a practical, real, authentic way to deal with a world that is anything but. As human beings, we still have choice, we still have free will and free choice. If you watched the show from 2 weeks ago where I spoke about how to approach the holiday season in a stoic fashion, there's a lot from that we can do to really shift the sense of fear and anger and powerlessness that affects us all. So the Christmas message of peace and love can be divorced from its holidays and its temporary meaning that just is for a couple of weeks in December, and we need to realize we need to see that as a strategy. Never mind the holiday season, never mind whether that belongs to some culture's point of view or other. We are beyond that. Part of taking our power back is to realize that we're not going to be put back into little boxes. Your culture says that and your one says that. To realize that now as human beings, we all face the same crises, no matter what our culture is, that we are destroying the planet, that we are at the mercy, I should say, of all these powerful forces that no longer work for us. So our lesson in response to the power of Saturn and Pluto is about how we treat each other, how we treat the animals on this planet, how we treat the planet itself. Love and peace and regard might sound like cliches, but right now they are a powerful, practical strategy that is practically the only thing that you can do and the only thing that will make a difference. Because you can do that. You can do that right now. You can do that for the rest of the day after you've watched this. That you can just change how you respond to people, how you respond to the situation. If we all tried to treat each other, the animals and the planet, with love, respect and regard, we will overcome the Saturn-Pluto forces, and we will overcome the governments that divide, separate and teach us to hate each other. You might feel powerless now, but you can change the world. It might sound like a cliche, but a little bit of love, a little bit of calmness and breathing will change the world. Go out and do it, and that's how we're going to have a very different 2020. Well, Aries, it really does look like a whole new year and a whole fresh start for you. It is all about that and couldn't be better timed for the month of January. It really looks like there's a whole fresh foundation for you. You might have moved into a new space or changed your space in some way. Otherwise, this is just the time to do that, because that's really going to help with your fresh start. This is a great opportunity to put some baggage behind you and create some new memories, new things to do for the months ahead. It's also important that there will be new people around you, and perhaps some of those new people will also help you fulfill some of your new projects, new plans and new ideas. That's what you need to set yourself for January. And again, I'm not saying that because this is a new year. That just happens to be a coincidence. It really is about creating a new direction for yourself at this time. Your chart says it's time to revisit your ideals about life, adjust your ideals about life, and realize and welcome in, realize that there are people around you who need to be welcomed in, who will help you fulfill those ideals. New friends, be open, your path opens up, and it's a whole new path for you. Taurus, it does look like there are some adjustments that need to be made in the month ahead for things to be working smoothly. It seems as if whether it's a personal project, a pet project, or whatever project it may be, but there are things that are no longer working that require adjustment. This is a month where you need to stop and look at where have we come so far and what different approach or input do I need in order to be able to go any further. From the chart's point of view, a change of strategy is required. You're too fixed onto the pet project idea of what you love and it's your brilliant idea, and all of those things are wonderful, but they can be narrowing your vision. And so you need some other input, perhaps from other people, and perhaps just to revise yourself and acknowledge where things are not working and draw some lines around that. I think that's what's really important as well. Also important is to readjust how you're actually using your resources. It does seem from the charts that one of the reasons why things might not be working according to plan is that you've been spending more money than necessary, or that you just have been spending more than the value that you're getting back. And that could be an adjustment that needs to happen. Make that adjustment, everything gets back on track and pet projects can happen again. Gemini, it does look like you need to actually stop for a minute and catch up on all the things that you should have been doing that you haven't been doing. And one of the most important one of those is taking care of some basic health matters that are really all about maintenance, prevention, and good health in order to avoid anything else going wrong. It's like if you haven't been visiting the dentist, there's something that you ought to have been doing, you need to go ahead and actually do it. This is the time to clear house in some way. It looks a little bit like you're allocating your energies incorrectly. Something that you're incredibly enthusiastic about is taking a lot of your energy, and things that might not be as inspiring but need a lot of energy are being neglected or falling by the wayside. A great way to handle this is to get some input from outside. Friends, close ones that you can trust, bounce some ideas off and just readjust things. You're seeing things a little bit out of proportion, and that is causing you to kind of bark a little bit up the wrong tree. Get your priorities back in order. Make sure you pay priority to what needs to be done for you, and then create a new path with input from other people for new ideas. Cancer, it looks like relationships are quite demanding at the time, but probably for all the right reasons. This is a great opportunity to put all your energy and all your focus onto your personal life. Reconnecting with your partner, doing all those things you've been meaning to do, and doing a few of those things that just give simple fun and simple pleasure. It's probable that you're taking something much too seriously or reading too much into something, and that can be creating a bit of emotional instability, creating a little bit of uncertainty that is really based on nothing at all. Rather, be sensitive to your partner, but talk about stuff and talk about your insecurities at this time, because you're reacting to stuff from your partner that isn't really real or isn't about you. Some of you might not be in relationships at the moment, and the good news is it certainly looks like there are things on the horizon. This is a time to make sure your social life is happening, that you're stepping out there or doing something that increases the number of paths that you cross, because it seems as if fate has something in store for many Cancerians this month, and hey, that could be you. Enjoy it. Leo, one of the things that you're really good at is seeing other people's lives very clearly, seeing what they should be doing and could be doing and what would work best for them. And very often that gets you into trouble. You end up getting accused of telling other people what to do and controlling other people and being a little bit too bossy. And while that could be true, if you get that into a situation where it's appropriate, it's going to be celebrated and welcome. So professional life where you are the boss, that is of course appropriate, but it does look like right now, whether it's in the working situation or some other situation, you are the one who best knows how we all should be using the resources or whatever the case may be. It seems as if you are the one who can clearly see how things need to be applied in this group situation or whatever situation you're in where goals need to be furthered. Quite frankly, not too surprisingly really, your charts say this is the best time to focus on your own personal projects, not business projects that involve other people. In fact, right now you might be vulnerable to, at the mercy of, other people. So go it alone. Your strategy for January is to do what's best for Leos, and that is stick to your own stuff, stick to the stuff that allows you to express yourself and that's where your success is going to lie. Virgos, despite being an earth sign, are one of the more adaptable signs in astrology. You don't think of earth as adaptable, it's quite heavy and stuck and so on. But in the case of Virgo, earth sign or not, they are really good at knowing what other people want and adapting to whatever's going on around yourself. So this is one of those times, but this is about adapting your thinking. There might be new people around you or some kind of new input or new ideas, which maybe for other signs would be a little bit more challenging, but for you it's a step up to the plate and adapt. In fact, Virgos can also be very analytical, excessively rational and focused on small things and worried about things. And it seems as if the exotic influence which is entering your chart this month allows you to break that pattern. Or at the very least, to acknowledge for yourself that your very straight down the line, practical ways of thinking might not be working right now. You might not have the natural ability to think in any other way, but that means you need to get some of those strangers, those exotics, into your life to help you further your own plans and kind of break out of the mold. It's all about letting others in so that you can break out of your thinking mold and adapt, because that's where your success lies. Libra, while the world takes a break, it looks like you are getting busier. Not so surprising, many of Librans are in the entertainment industry or in the admin surrounding the entertainment industry, and of course this is a time of the year where there's lots of work to be done. But even if your work is something other than that, it looks like it ain't finished yet. And so as you go from the old year into the new year, it might not seem like there's much of a break. The relevance of that is up to you, because when I look at your chart, it's like money wants to come in, and this has to be realistic, and you probably ain't winning any lotteries, because who does? So that really means you're making it from work. So all I can really say about that is, look, at this particular time, it's worth it. The work is worth it. Because it's the holiday season, festive family season, you're going to have to be the one to make sure that you find a nice balance and at least don't let your relationships get adversely affected by a period that is so good for everything else in your life. Hopefully it will set the tone for the year ahead and allow it to be a year where money and other securities really come in easily for you. But even without the money, it's a year where your goals are marching straight forward, and whether that's the short run or the long run can only be good for you. Scorpios, you always get accused of being a bit intense, and I think this month you might even get to agree with that, because things are really happening. Things seem intensified in your life. Your own feelings and the feelings of others seem magnified. So that does mean that if you get accused of any kind of intensity, you're not really in a position to deny it, but you need to tone yourself down and realize that you could be overreacting to things, you could be making things a little bit unnecessarily difficult in your relationships, and it's passion that you're feeling. Rather put the passion back into the relationship in the good old passionate manner rather than intensity. The other place where passion is being felt and where it is appropriate is in your plans and ideas. It's January, which is a great coincidence because your chart says this is really the time to put your foot flat on the accelerator in terms of your biggest plans and ideas. At least get them onto the page, because in the months ahead you may very well have the opportunity to pursue them. Clear your own path. Get ready to go. That's your January. Well, Sagittarius, time to take a bit of a pause, maybe finally, after your hectic December that you typically have. But you might feel a little bit betwixt and between, as they say, caught without anything really happening. But it is the calm before the storm. January will get increasingly busy for you, but one thing that you do need to expect is that things will move more slowly than you want to, and with extra complications. Perhaps just in that January fashion where no one really wants to do anything, but it also looks like you might need to make some adjustment to how you're going about things, because your big ideas aren't working and they might actually be misunderstood by others. Rein yourself right in and perhaps deal with the part that you aren't looking at. Your chart says you're making a lot of workarounds, you're creating a lot of big and unnecessary plans because there's one thing that you don't want to address. Maybe rather address that one thing. It doesn't have to go out there. It looks like it's something personal, it's for you or about you, it's your own stuff. Deal with that, and everything else could work much more beneficially. But you might need to wait a little bit of time before you see the results you're looking for from the work that you do with this month. So hang in there and be patient. Capricorn, as much as you're raring to go and ready to go, it looks like you might have to wait a few beats before the world catches up with you, or before it's even possible. There certainly is stuff that needs to be done. In fact, you might find there's an enormous amount on your plate this month, but nothing you can really do with any of it. Or alternatively, there's not very much on your plate and the same nothingness ensues. And maybe the lesson here is really just kind of wait till January and wait till February, when things are looking a little calmer and smoother on your path. There are some battles that need to be fought and frustrations that need to be dealt with, mostly around things not being as productive as you'd like them to be. So you know what? Be radical. Take January off. It's your birthday month, most likely, if you haven't yet had your birthday in December, and maybe just get some time off for yourself. It would be a great time to spend time alone, sorting out your own stuff. In fact, you might even find other people getting on your nerves at this time. So more than anything else, Capricorn, it sounds like you need a break. And if you give yourself a break, it won't look like everything else isn't running along and working for you. So take a breather, take a break, come back in February and get your year going. Lots of things clicking into place this month for you, Aquarius, although it still might be some time before there's much benefit from that in some way. Still, it's important to not lose heart. In fact, where you are putting your energies and investing your money or anything else at this time is really going to pay off for you. In fact, those Aquarians who are expecting some kind of financial result or payoff from anything, this is going to be the time when you're going to start seeing that, although over the months ahead that will be more so. You know, like everyone else, you've got to get past some of the stresses of January, plus it's the month before your birthday, when things tend to be a little lower and less energetic than you would like them to be. So you'd rather got to take a calm and measured approach. At the beginning of today's show, I spoke a lot about everyone needing to kind of calm down, because that's the only way we're going to manage this world that no one else is helping us manage. So for you, in your personal sense, it's about just slow down and be patient. What you're doing is going to pay off, just not quite as quickly as you think. In the meanwhile, you can still develop and focus on your own projects that are all going to feed in and make this month one of much more personal growth for you. Pisces, yes indeed, it is the month of peace, love, accommodating others and all of that. You're good at that, that's going to work for you, and that's even the message I gave for what this powerful bunch of astrological configurations is all about. But having said all of that, Pisces, for you, it's a month where you need to be a little bit more selfish. You need to be concentrating on what's yours and what you can do with yours. This is especially with regards to your family, where there just need to be some healthier boundaries around that. And like that, you're free and safe to assert what you want without feeling guilty or selfish or any of those feelings, which might be some disturbing feelings for you. Beyond your family, your immediate environment, your neighbors or other people around you might be the source of some problems right now, and you do need to be a little bit careful that you don't allow people to break through your boundaries or your limits in that way. People close to you and neighbors, this is where boundaries are all the more important. Fences are required. Good boundaries are required. Do not take responsibility for things that are happening around you that aren't connected to you. As I said, be selfish, focus on your own goals. There aren't major results showing just yet, but there is an investment in your own energy that will show within a couple of months. Well, we all have things to do, and we all have one thing to do. Remember to share the love, to breathe and try and be calm. Walk away if it's bad vibes. Try and spread good vibes. Not about Christmas cheer or holiday festivities or anything like that. It's all about we are desperate. It's urgent. There is something we can all do, and it simply lies in how we treat each other. I will be back in the new year with new shows. For the next couple of weeks, some repeats of your favorite shows. Be sure to catch up on them, and we will be back with the year ahead for 2020 in January. Stay tuned. I'll see you then.